We have others that were here, Paula Rudy from ISM in Northern California, who's been with the U.S. campaign for a long time, Nicholas Abramson, a longtime Palestine solidarity activist on the steering committee of U.S. to Gaza, and Ramzi Kassiya, an Arab-American writer and organizer with the Free Gaza movement, who served on the International Board of Directors of Free Gaza in 2008 and 2000, an officer of the Free Gaza U.S. affiliate. Ramzi is going to us about their work and accept the award on behalf of the movement.
So, as Phil said, Nicholas is here from New York with U.S. to Gaza and will be presenting a proposal tomorrow asking for an endorsement of our efforts to get an American ship on the next flotilla. Folks who are learning more about that can talk to Nicholas or look at the website, which is ustogaza.org. What does it mean for us to be peace and justice workers in today's world? It can be overwhelming to stare wide-eyed into the face of a $2 trillion a year global war machine fed by fear-mongering politicians and their embedded media, all existing to try and put forward the ridiculous notion that violence and oppression can be good and positive forces in our lives. And yet, in the face of this machine, we persevere. In a movement that is largely funded by bake sales and potluck dinners, the fact that we can even survive, let alone live to see our voices heard, to see our work change public opinion, it's nothing short of amazing. And it's not testament to any special qualities or talents that we possess. We peace workers share all the same faults and failings as anyone else in this world. It's testament to the fact that war and oppression, despite being with us from our birth, are not the natural state of humankind. As the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King used to say, the arc of human history bends towards justice. And all of us in this room are part of that global struggle. We should never underestimate the power of a small group of determined people to change the world. In August 2008, 44 ordinary people from 17 different countries boarded 2 small wooden fishing boats in Cyprus and became the first international ships to sail to Gaza since 1967, successfully challenging the illegal Israeli blockade of the Gaza Strip. Since then, the Free Gaza movement has organized 8 subsequent missions to Gaza, successfully arriving on Gaza's shores 5 times and being violently stopped by the Israeli military on 4 other occasions, most tragically with the Freedom Flotilla last month. Despite the challenges and risks that we face in this work, we know how necessary it is to continue as internationals to work with our partners in Palestine, to directly challenge the illegal Israeli occupation of Palestine, and to be voices for people who, in this country at least, are all too often voiceless. We know that the risks that we voluntarily assume in doing this work are minor compared to the risks that are being imposed unjustly on our sisters and brothers in Palestine every day. On behalf of all of my friends and colleagues in Free Gaza, we would like to thank you for this award, and we would like to accept it both in recognition for the work that we have already done, but also as a challenge to us to continue and expand our work, to intensify our efforts. We will sail to Gaza again and again and again until this siege is forever ended and the people of Palestine have free access to the rest of the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramzi. The award that goes to the Free Gaza movement tonight is what the U.S. campaign to end the Israeli occupation calls the Damu Smith Activist Award. It's named for one of our founding members, Damu Smith, who was himself the founder of Black Voices for Peace, a very important peace organization in Washington, D.C., working in the black community. Damu died too young. And in his honor, we honor the Free Gaza movement. You know, at times like this, when we have these victories in the shift in discourse, we can point to changes in how the media is covering certain things because of what happened in Gaza. We can look at how the UN was forced for a change to do the right thing with the Goldstone report. We can look at so many examples of how the discourse is changing. The polls are showing it. The elections are showing it. But there are times, it seems, when the shift in discourse has no bearing on the actual policy. And it seems like that's never going to change somehow. And that Congress is immune to those shifts, and the White House is oblivious to those shifts, and the special envoy is unaware of those shifts, and the this one and the that one are suddenly, they just don't get it. And we keep changing the discourse. It gets better and better. Higher percentages of people are supporting our positions. We're becoming mainstream without moving our politics at all. You know, 63% of Democrats in a recent poll were given a choice of two views of Israeli settlements. The first choice was, Israelis have built settlements for their own protection and they have the right to build them wherever they need. That was one choice. Choice number two, Israeli settlements are built on expropriated Palestinian land. They should be torn down and the land returned to their original owners. That's pretty out there. 63% of Democrats, 63% of President Obama's party supported choice number two. That's huge. That's because of our work and the work of so many others around this country. Palestinians, supporters of human rights everywhere, it's everybody's work. And it's had a huge impact. But it seems sometimes that no one in Congress has ever heard it. And then you find out maybe there's an exception. Just maybe. We are very honored tonight to have someone with us who's going to show the example of what does change. And to introduce Congressman Baird, we have two of our own, who you all know, who are among the bravest of the people I know work with, because they've done what no one should ever have to do. They took up, after the horrifying of their daughter, they took up her struggle and have waged it in her name and in the name of every Palestinian who died before and since, to continue that struggle for justice. Cindy and Craig Court.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Phyllis. Thank you. Thank you to the U.S. campaign for providing Craig and me the opportunity and the privilege of introducing to you our friend and Congressman, and this evening's keynote speaker, Congressman Brian Baird from Washington State's 3rd District. Our introduction to then candidate Baird was 14 years ago last week, in 1996, when our son's close friend hosted a Meet the Candidate yard party overlooking Olympia's Capitol Lake and our annual Lake Fair fireworks display. There was no way for us to know then the role Brian Baird would play in our lives 7 years later and beyond, or the fireworks he would create with his courageous steps in the U.S. Congress and those into Gaza in 2009 and 10. Brian was born in 1956 in Southwest Washington. His hometown, Vancouver, the other Vancouver, is several hours south of Seattle and across the Columbia River from Portland, Oregon. The congressman states that he learned about service from his father, a teacher in a small town where you knew everybody and neighbors really cared about it, and from his mother, who owned a small business and prided herself on giving to her community through volunteer work and community involvements. Brian graduated in 1977 from the University of Utah and received his master's and PhD in clinical psychology at the University of Wyoming. He practiced as a licensed clinical psychologist in Washington State and Oregon